Welcome back to Generation Orange. It is a lovely Wednesday evening. We're so excited to be filming this podcast because we've got some really exciting football coming up on Sunday, Dad, huh?
Finally, it's Chiefs week.
It's Chiefs
Man,
week. This is what we have been
yes.
looking forward to. We've said it week in and week out. I feel like a little bit of a broken record, but this is the most important football that the Broncos have played in a while. And it's so exciting to be a part of it and also just I don't know. I think there was this little sense of dread that kind of came with playing the Chiefs the last several years. Uh, you know, uh, Obviously we always believe in our team, but the reality is they really they dealt with us handedly for a while. So when it was Chiefs week, especially some of those years where we were just really struggling, man, that wasn't always the most fun football to watch. But we are in a new era of Broncos football, and we're going to discuss all of the great stuff going on this week leading up to Sunday. If you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome aboard. My name is Adriana. This is my dad, Les. We're just two Broncos fans from Phoenix. We like to talk ball. We're so happy that you're here with us today. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode of Generation Orange. Like this video, comment everything you want. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, but I think the most pressing issue, not even an issue, but we got to talk about Alex Singleton. Man, that guy's had a week.
Right. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, obviously prayers to him and his family, right? What a week, right? That he gets that news and then he plays on Thursday, gets a surgery on Friday. All the reports I've heard are that, it looks good, that they had a successful surgery and of course he'll miss some playing time after the surgery. But wow, what a blessing! Because yeah, for those of you in Broncos country, maybe you didn't hear, he had gotten a drug test, which they do, regularly, randomly, or however they do it. And I guess in the results of that test, there was some kind of abnormal cells or something. I don't remember or really know, but whatever, it was something that caused concern. And so they did some more tests, and turns out, yeah, he has some kind of testicular cancer. So, how much of a blessing is it that it was identified,
Yeah.
before it had a chance to get worse?
Yeah, no kidding. Alex Singleton, man, that's just been a guy who has obviously been a cornerstone of this Denver defense that has been so dominant year in and year out. And when he's injured, I mean, we have felt it, and in the past few
Yeah.
years, he's missed basically a whole season with injury, but this is a little one of those injuries, quote unquote, that you kind of have to put an asterisk on because it's not typical at all. It's
No.
not like, he's celebrating too hard and he tears a muscle or
Oh,
it's nothing like that.
yeah.
It's very circumstantial and you're totally right. It's a blessing that they caught it and it's kind of remarkable actually that they caught it. You wouldn't think that you'd be able to detect something like that from
Right. Yeah.
presumably a urine test, but who knows, right?
Pretty cool for sure. And on a more of a personal note, I'm sure you remember we were at a training camp for his first year with the Broncos, and you got his autograph. Remember? And I remember we had his name wrong because we didn't even know who he was.
Right.
And I don't remember. You asked him if he was somebody else. He says, "No, I'm Alex from Philly." But he was very nice with you. You're just a little 14-year-old or however old you were, but he was really gracious and just a total pro, nice
Yep.
guy. And then now you got to also meet him. Didn't you meet him and Steve together up at the Super Bowl a
I
couple years
did.
ago?
So what Alex Singleton, and this isn't, just an Alex Singleton thing, but he's really involved with community service, especially with like the Special Olympics. That was my understanding. I believe that's why he was there. I was media at Super Bowl 58 and at Radio Row, kind of the week preceding the event itself. Um, there's just, you got all kinds of different athletes kind of bumping around and hanging out with people who are podcasting or doing their radio show or whatever. And we happened to be there at the time. And there's there's kind of an understanding, I think, as media that you're not a fan. You know what I mean? You never want to go up to someone and ask for their autograph. It's supposed to be strictly professional. But I was there and I see Steve Atwater and Alex Singleton and I'm thinking, all right, I don't want to I had to stay respectful. You know, I have a job to do. I'm here to do a job. But at the same time, I was like, I gotta go and talk to those guys. And I did. I went up to them and I was like, hey, I know this isn't typical, but I just, it was funny because, Steve Atwater, obviously dead. You grew up watching him. He was huge for you. And then you mentioned when Alex was first on the squad, I was probably 14. So I kind of got to grow up and watch him play. And he's been, a player that I've always been familiar with basically for just about as long as I've been really into football. So I told him that he was so cool. Steve Atwater especially was really cool. I think you, Dad, have met him before, haven't you?
I did, yeah. I actually, when they had a Super Bowl in Phoenix in the late or mid '90s, I he was at a some kind of celebrity golf tournament, so I hunted him down and went and pestered him before he was about to tee off. I was such a goofy little fanboy, but no, totally cool guy. Like if you ever hear Steve talk, because he does a lot of media stuff, with for the Broncos, he is exactly that guy that you hear. He's just the most chilled, gracious, mannerly, kind person. He gave me the time of day, talked with me for a little bit, and signed an autograph for me, and yeah, so yeah, really, really cool person.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just a little personal experience, that we've got with those guys. But the point of that is to say that Alex has always been a very cool, very respectable guy, even from, the brief personal quote unquote interactions that I've had with him. Nothing but good stuff to say about him. So, very, very happy that that was identified immediately, hopefully taken care of swiftly and without error, which it sounds like it was. But it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm not having him
Yeah.
this Sunday. I mean, it comes at
Well,
a really inconvenient time in a way.
certainly, and really, like, it's just that we're going to miss so many guys this week, and then after this game, we'll have the bye, and we'll have, Sertan could be back, we're kind of a little bit of guys coming back. But right now, I mean, that's we're not going to have Alex, we're not going to have Pat, almost for sure.
Right.
Dobbins is likely out, so this is the one game where we really need. But hey, nobody wants to hear it. I'm sure the Charger fans don't want to hear it. Everybody has injuries, and that's why we have backups, and so
Yeah, and we kind of touched on this, I know, last week, but ironically, and just to preface, Marvin Mims was a full participant in practice today, which is so big because ironically, it kind of feels like that injury hurt us more, at least in my perspective, than the PS2 injury did. It seems
well,
like
no question.
the Broncos were able to adapt really remarkably with the secondary. That's why it's so important to have depth, especially at that cornerback position, because PS2 is your number one guy. We're talking about the defending defensive player of the year, and to not have him out there, he's your realistically he's your best player, and to still crack down on defense is to me, I mean that just you got to give Vance Joseph his flowers for that one, and of course Abram Strain and Jody Barron have had really to step up. Hufunga has really stepped up back there, so give the whole defense their flowers, but the Mims injury, or I guess the lack thereof, him coming back is going to be so big for the Broncos. The special teams the last 2 weeks has just been an eyesore. I mean, I don't even know really where to begin on that. And just to have Mims even back as a receiver is going to be huge, I think, especially considering we're going to lose our boy JK.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and um, because I think when we brought J.K. in, we knew he had this history of injuries, and he, my goodness, I kind of did some digging. He like broke his leg in high school. Okay, so he has just come back from 3 or 4 injuries that can sometimes just be career ending, right? And so, but when we kind of knew this guy had an injury history when we brought him in, um, and then yeah, he just comes in, he balls out, we just fall in love with him. But really, hey, this is kind of what we signed up for when we signed him.
Right.
Now, on the positive side, he can get through this foot thing maybe within a short, 3-4 weeks or something like that. And with the bye week, it's not going to be that many games missed, and then maybe he's healthy for the final push. I don't know, we just but when we really and I think we knew with him, with Ingram, with Hufunga, Greenlaw. I mean, we always kind of knew there was we might miss some starts with those
It's a
guys.
little
And
bit of a liability
we
with those guys, right?
right, and we actually did have all four of them for maybe two games. So that it's kind of cool. One guy who I'm kind of excited to see possibly. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to be active. Is
Oh, I think I know what
Jaleel
you're gonna
McLaughlin,
say. Oh, yeah. Okay, Jaleel, that's actually a good poll. I thought you were gonna say the name of another gentleman who just got brought back onto the squad, but let's hold off on that. Jaleel
right?
McLaughlin, that's such. I think you are very right. And what have we been talking about week in and week out? That's going to be so important to establish, especially against the Chief, is the rushing game. You
The run,
got to have yards on the ground. You're not going to
yeah.
beat the Chiefs otherwise. You have to be in control of the line of scrimmage because at the end of the day, this is a game that will always just come down to the X's and the O's and who has control of the game clock, who has control of the line of scrimmage. And JK being that kind of bigger, gritty running back is gonna kind of hurt us. And now, God, who is really the biggest running back?
Wow, I
Is
would think it's probably Bidet.
I think
I
it is
mean, in terms of
Bidet.
height,
So I wonder
but
if he might get
Bidet,
a little more action.
to be honest, I don't want to be negative, but it just seems like we've asked very little of Bidet the last few weeks, and he just hasn't answered the call.
Right.
And I was kind of pushing for Jaleel to maybe get his active roster spot this week, even before Dobbins got hurt. I just kind of thought maybe it's time to give Jaleel a shot. But as far as size, we just maybe in terms of weight, it'd be Harvey. I mean, Harvey,
Right.
he's short, but he's stout. I don't really know. None of them are terribly big, but at the same time, Harvey does have a history of being a workhorse running back.
Right.
Okay, not with us, of course, but in college. So I could see his work. I think it's a given that his carries will go up, and he might be ready for that. I think he was a little slow on picking up the pass pro. That's been noted a couple of times, or toward the end of training camp and early season. But it's we're entering week 11 now, so he could be up to speed on that or close to it, right? And he's certainly developed in the passing game extremely well, and he's had some nice runs. So hey, okay, it's time to step it up a little bit. And like I said, I would like to see Jaleel get in there, maybe get 5 to 7 carries
Sure.
or something,
Just to
and
mix it
because
up a
he's ready
little
to
bit.
play it. Yes, and actually, we talk about size. Jaleel bulked up in the offseason. He picked up
Yes.
like 10 or 12 pounds, so he's ready to go.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it's going to be really exciting to see what kind of personnel switches they make, what kind of personnel switches Sean makes, and just plainly, how much is he going to run the ball? We touched on this, I think, in depth, so we don't have to talk about it too much last week, but there's this idea that Sean might be kind of having the playbook closed in anticipation for this game. So I'm really interested to see is surely you got to have something up your sleeve for the Kansas City Chiefs, right? That's what you hope.
For sure. One thing I heard, and we certainly talked about the coaching last week a little bit, but I did hear something this a couple of days ago that was encouraging, and I didn't know this. I guess during his tenure in New Orleans, Sean Payton relinquished play calling duties a couple of times, and we had talked about, well, what are and for me, I was just worried that maybe Sean would just be stubborn on that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But so it was good to hear that he is capable of doing that, so that if push comes to shove with our offense, which it pretty much has, you just to know that he's willing to do whatever it takes, whatever adjustments need to be made, even if it's him, humbling himself and saying, "Hey, I'm not getting the job done." He's capable of doing that, right?
Right.
Because we have qualified play callers on our staff. We have Davis Webb, all right, who's an up-and-coming offensive quarterback coach who did call plays in the preseason. We've got Joe Lombardi, who
Mm-hmm.
called plays for San Diego, and then the guy that called plays for him in the Saints. I can't think of his name right now. Point is, there are guys that he could defer that to. you know? So, yeah, I'm really confident that there will be, some wrinkles in the playbook, some special plans for this week. And I do expect them to be prepared. And I'm excited about Bo too. Yeah, sure, the Bo hate is flying out there. And, God bless them. God bless all the haters because they got to talk about something. And I'm excited about Bo. I'm excited because with Bo, he just this seems to be the kind of a trend or pattern where he kind of hits a wall or a rut or
Mm-hmm.
something, and then he steps up.
Yeah.
So if he does what Bo does, what history has shown, maybe he'll ball out against the Chiefs. I don't know. I'm excited. At the end of the day, it's we're I feel like, like you said, I feel like the Broncos are going to have a tremendous game plan. I feel like Andy Reid and his staff, they've had a week to prepare the bye week. And, there's just so many great coaches on both sides. I mean, top men on
Right.
these coaching staffs, and I think it's going to come down to players. Who makes the most plays? That's who's going to win.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think now might be a good time to bring up Broncos country. You probably have already heard about this, but this name might sound kind of familiar to you. Lil Jordan Humphrey is once again a Bronco. Spent just a little bit of time with the Giants in New York, and now he's back. That's exciting. That was somebody we didn't lose a lot of people, a lot of roster spots, but that was one that I kind of was like, oh man, no, he's not Cortland Sutton,
Yeah.
but he was a good guy. He was a serviceable, pretty dependable wide receiver, and I think there's a chance that we see him make a few plays immediately this Sunday. I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah, I guess on the Schefter reported that he thought he would very likely see some action. And yeah, I mean, he's a Sean guy, right?
Right.
He just one of those guys. And so he's on the Giants practice squad, and Trent Sherfield is hurt. So, hey, call his old buddy up. And yeah, I love it. He can block,
Right.
right? And like you said, we need to run the rock, right? So, hey, that's imperative. So yeah, I mean, again, this is the Chiefs. We got to go with the guys we have and get after them.
This is the Chiefs. And once again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Broncos country, we know what the stakes are. We have got the Kansas City Chiefs right where we want them. And for the first time in several years, the Broncos are 100% in control of their destiny. The one seed is there if you want it. The division is there if you want it. To be the kings of the West and the kings of the AFC is there if you want it. That first round bye is there if you want it. And we have seen some bad football on the offense. I think, especially you brought up Bo. He hasn't had a good last 2 weeks. And I am not somebody who believes that. First of all, that Bo is the problem. There's been so much of that talk recently, especially the last few days. You guys can sound off in the comments if you like, but I know, Dad. I know you agree with me. Bo is absolutely still the answer. There's nobody else that I would rather have at the helm than him right now. But just one other little thing I want to mention that I think really has to click this week as well is the deep ball. The Broncos are going to have to make some explosive plays happen. I think Aqib Talib talked about this a little bit this week, and I heard it, and he's always got good stuff to say about the Broncos. He was like, if the Broncos just execute just a few more of these, they don't even have to be major, bombs up for 40 or 50 yards, even just some of the 25, 30-yard long, high balls. The Broncos are all of a sudden a team that everyone really has to be concerned about. And I think if they're really able to mix up the offense, get some execution on those long plays, it's going to be really hard to convince me that this is a team that honestly isn't going to make a Super Bowl run. So everything is in front of them at 8-2. The Chiefs they've got 4 losses. They're 5-4. You're only a game ahead of the Chargers. This one is just imperative to win at home.
Yeah, I feel like there's kind of two storylines kind of running simultaneously right now. Like you just mentioned, just kind of the state of our season, right? We're 8-2. We have the chance to really just step on the Chiefs and just kind of really just take control, a controlling position on the division. Now, we had, I know we went off many times on this podcast about how tough of a division this was and how it was going to be a dogfight to the end, this season with the three teams, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I would like nothing more than for us to end up being wrong about that and just seeing the Broncos kind of maybe not have to, to maybe just escalate that lead and then go in, the final 2-3 games of the season where, yeah, maybe we're just fighting for only the home field, right? And the division is under control.
Yep.
By winning this game, that becomes a possibility. By losing this game, it's just going to be that clustered bunch dogfight that we had anticipated.
You're absolutely going to have to go and beat them in Arrowhead. You're going to you know what I mean? Like all of those kinds of things that I'm not saying that if we win this game, we can suddenly just lose an Arrowhead if we want to. Not at all.
Yes.
But it definitely puts us in a completely different position, just in terms of, like you said, seeding. And ironically, I don't think we really anticipated that this week 2 Colts game was going to hurt as bad as it ended up hurting.
It's lingering, isn't it?
It's starting to sting a little bit.
Leverage call. Yeah.
Right.
Well, so okay, so we have this Chiefs game, right? And I think there's another story here because Broncos country, you know how it's been for these last 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
It's usually around this time of season where we're, give or take a couple of weeks or whatever, where we're just like, okay, we get excited every off season. They make whatever, and then and then wah wah wah, right, for the Broncos. But then what happens? Do we just lose interest in football and just stop watching?
Oh my gosh, no.
No, because what do we have to pay attention to then? We have to shift gears. We have to shift gears to rooting for every other gosh darn team in the NFL except the Chiefs.
Rooting for the Bills, rooting for Lamar. Yep.
Oh my God, this vicious, dysfunctional.
To do it.
Yeah, well, okay, well, in the Super Bowl they've lost. I think then the Bengals, did not beat them. I mean, they haven't won the Super Bowl every year, right?
No. I'm just saying to dethrone them in the AFC because almost.
Right.
Let me think about this. I could be wrong about this. But almost every single year that the Chiefs have made it to the Super Bowl, if not every single year, what have they had to do? Win 2 home games? And then all of a sudden
they're in the big bowl? I think 2, maybe 3 years ago, they were divisional winners, but they did have to win. They had to go to Baltimore and Buffalo and win, if I'm correct. They've done some. Hey, they're the Chiefs. Let's not carry on about them right now.
No.
Well, let's lament one final time, Broncos country, about how much we despise the state of the Chiefs and what they have done to our I don't know, psyche. Yes, I'm tired of it. I am tired of it. Year in and year out, they own the division.
The Broncos. Yes, the Broncos don't get owned by any team. They don't. You know what I mean? I feel like, I mean, as long as I've been a fan, this is the only time where I just hate this team. I just hate the Chiefs, and it's literally just because year in and year out they have just wiped the floor with us, and that is so unlike the Broncos and just maybe how I see the organization. It's not Broncos football. The Broncos are the ones who do the owning.
Yes, there's such an opportunity this week, and I know we're beat up. I know Bo's had his worst couple of games, that we can remember, but I don't care. We looked at this when the schedule came out. We saw that we kind of fast forward to this game, and we knew this was a big deal. It's time, Broncos country. It is time to flip the script on the Chiefs kingdom and all that they do to us.
Yep.
This is a huge opportunity.
And it's
to just defend Mile High.
Yep.
Beat them. No matter how, I don't, you know what? Everybody complains about that 10-7 game. I don't care if it's 3-2 or 3-0 or 2-0. If the Broncos would get this W, I don't care. We can talk about the details and what they, you know what? Just win this game. Win
That's
this
it.
game.
And that this game, I think, is going to be either what catapults us to one of the best seasons that the Broncos have had, in the time that I've been alive, or not that it's going to end our season, nothing like that.
No,
But if I'm
no.
in that locker room, I don't know, if I'm Garrett Bowles, you know what I mean? Spending all this time. I remember he had a quote just a few years ago. He's like, "I'm tired of losing, man. I've been here 7 years. All I've
Yeah,
done is lost."
yeah. A couple of years
If
ago,
I'm
yeah.
if I'm Garrett Bowles, we lose this game, man. It's the same crap, just a different year. That puts
Yes.
a morale killer on my psyche and my season that I don't necessarily know if you can absolutely recover from. So
Yeah.
I 100% agree. A win to put, also just to put the Chiefs to be 5-5. They're
Oh,
just a
yeah.
500 football team,
Yeah.
and to
Now they have,
advance to 9-2. I remember, when the schedule came out. I'm sure you probably had this conversation with close friends or whatever. You kind of look through all the games and you try and anticipate, oh, are we going to win this one? Are we going to lose this one? And you kind of come up with a mental record of what it could be. And people gave me crap for thinking that the Broncos were only going to have 2 or 3 losses. But I really
yeah.
do think that if the Broncos win on Sunday, I all bets are off. Like I saw a tweet. It said, the Denver Broncos, I really believe that they could beat any football team in the NFL. I also believe that they could lose to any football team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You win on Sunday,
You know,
case closed, in my opinion.
yeah, and I'll tell you what, as far as all the hate, whether it's the Knicks hate or the Riley Moss hate or what, I'm just soaking it in at this point. You know what I mean? I saw a thing, some Yahoo on, I don't remember where it was, and I don't care. He's like, the Broncos are the worst 8-2 team of all time.
How can you be a
Okay,
bad
okay,
8-2 team?
right. Okay, here's a couple things kind of coming to my mind about this. I'm like, number one, you're some Yahoo trying to get attention. God bless. Okay, that's fine. But number two, how the heck, how the heck are you even of all the 8-2 teams that are out there, right? I mean, in the history of 8-2 teams, I don't even remember the last time the Broncos were 8-2. I'm sure they have been, but I don't remember how they looked or who cares? They're going to be 8-2 for 1 week, So I don't know. I just say, like I say, bring on the negativity. I think it's fine. I think it's. I'm all for it at this point. I just all I care about is rooting my team on and just being excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Whoo, 'tis the season, Broncos country. 'Tis the season. We got exciting football ahead of us on Sunday. I am really excited, especially for what is hopefully going to be a great episode airing Sunday evening. We'll be together this weekend. Once again, I know I said this kind of earlier. My dad and I are both from Arizona. My dad lives in Tucson. I live in Flagstaff. They're on opposite ends of the state. So my dad's going to commute a few hours to come see me this weekend. We got to watch some Broncos football together, and what better week than some Week 12 chef's kiss football. So we'll be together for the episode on Sunday. Dad, is there anything else that we have to cover right now? I'm just so excited about the Chiefs game. I feel like,
Yeah,
so charged up.
yeah, no, so there's a lot going on with this game. We pretty much covered. I just think one thing that I'm coming back to is, there's a lot of talk about, well, how good Andy Reid is after a bye, and by the way, Sean Payton's really good after a bye as well. One thing that maybe not everybody knows or is cognizant of, the Broncos just happen to be on a 10-game home winning streak. We talk about Bronco football. That's what Bronco football is. That winning at home. Okay, when the Broncos are competing for Super Bowls, Nobody wants to go to Mile High. That's part of the deal. And Broncos country, I know that probably, maybe some of you are going to be at the game. You scream your little hearts out. You yell. You get involved. You make it hard on them, because Chiefs Kingdom's going to do that to us when we go there,
They
right?
always have.
But this is our time. This is our backyard. This is our time to let them know who's the boss of the AFC West.
I think you're absolutely right. And sometimes, again, we're from out of state, so I only saw my first, no, you too. We both saw our first game in the new Mile High last season against the Chiefs. And a part of me is kind of wishing that we had planned to go and catch this one, but it's no matter. We're going to be doing our part from all the way over here in Arizona, which a lot of people would consider Broncos country, to be honest, and probably rightfully so. Whew, the closer we get,
I know.
it's like a combination of anxiety and nervousness and excitement and anticipation, like all of the stuff that really makes football so great.
Yes. And when you think about it, like, every football season, even when it ends up being a tough season, we always get into it. It's always its own little journey, right? And this season has been certainly no different. There's been some ups and downs and some this and that's, but if we kind of look at it, the big picture of it, if we were talking, during training camp about how we kind of were envisioning this season could go, if we would look toward this game, we knew this was an important game. And if you'd have said, you would be 8-2, and Dobbins would be hurt, so a couple of other guys be hurt, yet the Chiefs would be 5-4, and the Chargers would be 7-3. We'd be like, all right,
We're happy. We'll take that.
So yeah, Broncos, because when you hear all this negativity and all this, that, and the other thing, just remember that there's some good things happening with the Broncos right now. They're playing some good football most of the time, and certainly some good football all of the time defensively. The offense is going to figure it out because they have the talent, okay? And they have a quarterback, and they have a quarterback that the team believes in. So just let's just cheer them on.
Yep. Enjoy it, Broncos country. It's going to be a very, very important game. Let us know in the comments, what are you anticipating? I feel like there's so many different ways that this game could go. It could totally be a low-scoring defensive game, like you mentioned, Ed. I actually think that's probably most likely, to be honest, just the way that both of the defenses have been playing. The Chiefs have been playing really good D as well. So totally could be low-scoring. Alternatively, you could have a situation where you've got to match the Chiefs and their kind of powerhouse of an offense. And in that case, who knows? You might go 50-plus points combined. So I have no idea what Sunday has in store for us, to be honest, but I would love to hear from you guys. Reading your guys' comments is the highlight of our week. We love it. We discuss them all, try and respond to as many of you guys as we can. I think it's time we ought to wrap up here.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of Generation Orange. Once again, I'm Adriana. This is my father, Les. It has been so great having you. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you Sunday evening when we, hopefully, will be 9-2 and having a really great conversation. See you next time, Broncos country.